So I'm sure several people have wondered, what is this poster right here? I'm going to show you. Into the orientation for a second. Hang on. Good. Damn it. That is a Chinese, official Chinese version of Godzilla, King of the Monsters from 2019. If anyone's ever wondering, which is coincidentally what I am leading up to right now with this review of Godzilla 1984. This is not the one with Steve Martin, although Steve Martin did help popularize it. You can't deny that with the first one. This is the Japanese rebirth of him, if you will. There are many attempts made by Japan to revitalize Godzilla in the past, and it's worked out. Godzilla vs. the Devil, one to celebrate the 25th anniversary in 1979, but for one reason or another, all these were scrapped. Eventually, it came to be, said, okay, let's get Ishiro Honda and have him redirected. He gently refused because he was working with Akira Kurosawa for Ran and Hashigama, I think was one of his other movies. Said, hey, bring in this guy. All right, let's get Akira Fubuke back. There was a joke saying, no, I don't do music scores for 80-foot tall lizards. This became fact, but then it was eventually just dismissed as a joke because he was actually teaching music at a Japanese college. So, what do we have instead? Well, we have got the sci-fi era of Godzilla, the sci-fi era of Japan, 1980s. Beautiful neon-soaked alleyways. We have got nuclear power, and we of course have the return to form for the big G, the lizard. The lizard himself is returning, and it's like, wow. So in order to revitalize him, Japan was like, okay, let's look at movies such as King Kong. There's some other adult-oriented horror films. Like, okay, what can we do? So, at the same time, there was a man named Henry G. Saperstein who was like, hey, can we bring in some movies? What company makes the most profitable horror movies? And it was between Hammer Studios in England and Toho in Japan, of course. And because Hammer was already affiliated, I think, with Universal, if I'm not mistaken, they said, okay, let's do this. Of course, there were other films in the past that were done, Invasion of Astro Monster, Rodan, etc. So it just makes sense to have this happen. There's a petition in Japan known as the Godzilla Resurrection Committee. 10,000 fans were like, hey, keep this specifically Japanese. Yes, go ahead and have the American one, but have one that is for domestic consumption first. That comes first. And now, 40 years later, how does this fare? Alright, well, watched this like 5 years ago, and now it's like, about 4 or 5 years ago, I disliked it because it was a slow pace and nothing was going on. Now that I'm a little bit older and a little bit wiser, I like it more, but there's still some problems going on. So let's get the bad out of the way, but then we'll get to the good. The bad, usual, the human characters are okay, mediocre, okay. Brother is like, this guy goes underneath, this guy's sailboating, and he discovers a wrecked ship. What's going on here? Goes in and sees that there is one person who is still alive after an unknown creature attacks it. Finds the guy, revives him. There's a sea louse that goes nowhere. I'm like, okay, why is there a sea louse here that's roughly the size? It's kind of big. I'm like, okay. Got a recovered shipmate. Eventually gets reunited with his sister. Then there's a professor who explains what's going on with Godzilla, how he follows magnetic strips, kind of like how birds are attracted to like ley lines or magnetic strips in the air, I guess you could say, that cause them to fly. And it's like, these characters, compared to the ones in the 70s, they're alright, I guess. The most the most interesting one was seeing this guy who is eating in an abandoned restaurant, and he's like, don't mind if I do. It's like he either views it as goodbye Tokyo or hello Godzilla. And probably the Prime Minister was the most interesting one because he had to deal with tensions between going on in Russia and the USA. Boy, doesn't that sound bloody familiar. And, there's some good debate going about the use of nuclear weapons, including a quote of, you are Russia and you are America. Now, if Godzilla was attacking Washington or Moscow, would you use nuclear weapons? Dang good quote right there. I have to say that. So I do have to go with a country. I would have to side with a country that's already experienced nuclear devastation more than the power-hungry countries, including the one that I live in. I just said that. You have a problem with it? Tough tamales. But it's like they could have talked. They talked about for a little while. They could have elucidated more upon it, given it more of a broader concept. It's standard 1980s fare, so I guess I can't be too hard on it. Some of the special effects, you could tell that there was a green screen. People that have been set ablaze. There has been a green screen in the background. Godzilla standing next to it. There are these building shots where he's standing, and you could kind of tell that this was what is it, like double imprint or whatever, double exposure, that's it. And it has not aged well. Well, I guess there's a certain flair about, certain okayness about it. It's a slow burn of a movie. It's like there's tension going on in it. Yes, none of the characters are good. They could have elated more. They could have spoken more about the plot. But what did I like? Godzilla's back and he looks intimidating, and I mean intimidating. He causes destruction in Tokyo, just rolling through the town. He goes up to a scene that I enjoyed. He goes up to a little nuclear area, just absorbs all the radiation going on, and it's just an intense scene. It's just like, Yan, you do not mess with him. Cinematography is beautiful. I mean, the neon-soaked Tokyo, the alleyways, the interiors, it's all amazing. I mean, you look at it, you're just like, this is beautiful. This is a bubble economy in Japan, so let's spend $6.5 million, 1980s money, which would probably be about $15 million today, I don't know. You look at it, and just like, this is stunning. Toho knew what they were doing. They introduce this weapon, the Super X that they use, and it's just kind of like hovering around and shooting at it. I mean, it's fine. It withstands the atomic breath. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I think that overall, it's fine. For a return to form of getting Godzilla back, and the lack of music, which just adds to the tension. Although there is a song which I'm going to play right now. This is the Star Sisters' Godzilla love theme. It's a song that you put on like a Sunday night to get yourself prepared for the week or whatever. It's like it's a ballad. This is a ballad. It's a good thing to play at the credits. Kind of relaxing in a way. This is one of the more obscure entries in the series. It's this and what is that? What's the one with the plant? Godzilla versus the next one with the plant. That one is two of the more underrated ones. So I don't know. But this one is stuck in the 1980s. This is more of an action piece, tension drama movie. Godzilla is there. He still represents nuclear destruction. There's a way to help Japan remember saying, hey, let's all the people who survived all this crap going on in the 1940s. This is our way of saying, for a new generation. We're going to help people not forget about the devastation that happened. So, you know, I don't know. I feel, I mean, this movie is fine because it was needed to be like, hey, bridge the gap between the Showa era and the Heisei era, my personal favorite. And Heisei movies are from 1985 to 96. So, I don't know. I just think this movie kind of needs to be given another chance. I think it's fine. Yeah, there's also, I guess another good thing is that there was a nice just special effects scene about an hour in where just this crew gets obliterated. I mean, Godzilla really is a just brutal, just destruction incarnate, man. That's all I can say. So, I don't know. I think overall this movie is fine. It is well made, but there are some things that hamper it from being good. Some people may be turned off by the slowness of it all. The plot, nuclear discussion should have been talked about a little bit more. And how it's kind of like bridging the gap. It's that awkward phase between the Showa and Heisei era. The music, the sparse music that you're hearing, the sparse music is there. You're hearing the ballad. Oh yeah, and the characters are not that good. Some of the special effects are good. So overall, this movie's aged all right. It's not the greatest in the world. I give it like between a 6 and a 7. But you know what? If 10,000 Japanese fans demand, hey, you gotta keep this exact, you gotta have the Japanese one, and you can also release the American one, but keep the one here strictly for Japanese consumption, then do so. So if you want that, then I recommend that you watch Godzilla 1984, The Return of Godzilla.